Sergio Perez not being in Formula 1 is an absolute disgrace. Listen, we can all agree that in 2026, Sergio Perez will be driving in Formula 1. But the question is, which team will he be driving for? In this video, I'm going to give 5 teams that should definitely take a look at Sergio Perez and maybe some honorable mentions as well along the way. So if you like Formula 1 content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and smash a like on this video, especially if you're a fan of Checo. The reason for these 5 teams is because I think Sergio Perez will be a massive impact to the team. Sergio Perez is a well-seasoned driver. There is no mistakes about it. This man is a race winner. The man gets podiums, he gets points, and whether he's at the sharp end of the grid or he's with the midfield team, he has always delivered wherever he's been. And the first team that comes to mind in 2026, it's a brand new team to Formula 1. That is correct. Cadillac Formula 1 team officially will be part of the Formula 1 camp in 2026, so there'll be 11 teams to choose from. However, for Sergio Perez, I think Cadillac have to look at this man. The reason is, it's a very simple and easy choice. If you imagine you're a brand new team into Formula 1, you're going to try and make an impact, you want to make a name for yourselves, and you want to hit the ground running. And who is better than Sergio Perez with the experience that he has, with the race wins that he's had under his belt, with the podium finishes as well. And even if Cadillac are not ready at that stage, at least he can get them points. Remember, it's new regulations in 2026, so Cadillac have to make sure they hit the ground running. They need to be relevant in 2026. We've had many teams come and go, okay? Cadillac do not want to be HRT. They don't want to be a Marussia. They don't want to be a Caterham. They want to be somebody who has a little bit of dignity, a little bit of pride, a bit like Force India and Racing Point, who ironically Sergio Perez drove for both teams. Cadillac need to make sure that when they step into the Formula 1 world that they've got all the right positions filled in the right places, and that includes the drivers. Listen, the team principal, the CEO, the technical team, the aerodynamics team, all of these parts are going to be very key and vital for Cadillac to do phenomenally well. But let's start things off with the drivers, okay? And who better than Sergio Perez in terms of a brand new team coming into Formula 1. Sergio Perez, the man understands the cars. He's got great knowledge in Formula 1, and the experience, honestly, it goes a long way. Remember, this man started in Formula 1 as far back as 2011. Cadillac would be stupid to not take on Sergio Perez. Number 2, Mercedes. Now hang on, I know you're thinking, Peter, what on earth are you talking about? Let me just play a little game with you here. Kimi Antonelli, George Russell, both drivers' contracts are up at the end of the season. Now look, Kimi Antonelli's probably got a 1+1 contract at this moment in time. It's his debut season in Formula 1. He is a rookie. George Russell, however, is one that we should really be concerned about, because George Russell is not necessarily talked about in terms of earning a new contract at Mercedes. He's been doing solidly well in the 2025 season, but the question really remains to be seen whether or not Mercedes feel like he is the man to take Mercedes back to the top, back to winning not just races but winning championships as well. The other reason I bring this up is because look how long Mercedes have been courting Max Verstappen. That's correct, the greatest driver on the planet at this moment in time. It's understandable why teams will be looking at Max Verstappen, especially with how he's been feeling at Red Bull. But Mercedes are going on like they don't have drivers at their camp that are more than capable of winning races, and multiple races at that. Now, it ultimately depends on what George Russell does do at the end of the season. Who knows? George Russell might jump ship and change teams completely, and that would put Mercedes in very serious trouble, and therefore Sergio Perez could fill that hole in Mercedes if it comes to it. Mercedes could do a lot worse than Sergio Perez, and if they're not careful, they could end up losing both drivers. And if they happen to lose at least one of them, I think Sergio Perez is definitely a shoo-in to go in there and replace either George Russell or Kimi Antonelli. And don't get me wrong, I don't think Mercedes will lose both drivers, but the fact that the contracts are not signed for 2026 and beyond leaves the question mark around the Mercedes camp. And Sergio Perez is no stranger to Formula 1. I've talked about his wealth of experience. I've talked about the fact that he's won races, and Mercedes will need a driver who is certified. It's kind of like Valtteri Bottas when he was at Mercedes, okay? Maybe nothing spectacular, but he does exactly what it says on the tin. He's very steady. He will collect a whole of points. He can get on those podiums, provided Mercedes provide the car for Sergio Perez. The third team I was looking at, now we're getting a little bit lower down the grid, but I'm looking at the Alpine. Now, honestly, if I'm Sergio Perez, I wouldn't even touch Alpine with a barge pole. However, he's not in Formula 1, so beggars can't really be choosers. But for Alpine, I think this is a very solid pick. Now, the reason I'm even bringing him up with Alpine's a bit of a mess, okay? Pierre Gasly, you've got Franco Colapinto, and of course you've got Jack Doohan. Now, It's a bit of a merry-go-round what's going on over there. But Sergio Perez, when I just think of him and I think about in a team like Alpine, which is very unserious, very unstable, Sergio Perez will bring that stability. He will bring the stability in such a chaotic team. This is what Alpine need, because every single season there is news about Alpine, whether it's to do with personnel, whether it's to do with the drivers, whether it's to do with the cars, whatever the case may be, there is always something going on at Alpine, and not for any good reason. And to be honest with you, Sergio Perez is Mr. Stable. And also in the midfield, this is where we've probably seen Sergio Perez at his very best. When he was in that Red Bull, the first season he done very well, but as time went on and the pressure was really on to really mount a challenge against Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez failed under that pressure. But I think that his comfort zone, where he does well, where he performs the best, is a team in the midfield where they can overachieve and maybe have some potential to do well. I think Sergio Perez will squeeze every ounce of juice in that team. Just look at his track record in midfield. He got on the podiums with Force India. He got on the podiums with Racing Point. He even won a race with Racing Point. And no surprises, he won races with Red Bull too. But the reason Alpine get brought into this conversation is because for the simple fact, they need stability. They need to stop mucking around with drivers. They need to stop mucking about when it comes to team principals, executive owners, advisors, this, that, and the other. They need just some stability, and at least a great start would be to bring in Sergio Perez. Now, speaking of stability, a team that I want to bring up here, who is very stable at this moment in time, is Haas. The reason I'm bringing up Haas, not because I think Ocon or Behrman are not good enough. No, they are. And in fact, Behrman might be really impressing, and maybe teams around might be poaching him. Ocon, we don't know quite how long his contract actually is, how long he will be at Formula One, how long he will be in that Haas team. But if these drivers who are more than capable of earning moves away from Haas, Haas will be in a bit of a predicament. They might be in a bit of a situation. And what a great way to resolve that situation than bringing Sergio Perez to the helm. I mean, it just makes sense. Stability, matching stability, why not? I just think at Haas it's a very interesting situation, and credit to Ayo Komatsu, who's done a phenomenal job in stabilizing that Haas team. We've known the Haas team to be hilarious, we've known it to be a bit fun, but not serious at all. Günther Steiner days, Rich Energy days, I mean, it was a mess. And it was good entertainment, it was great television, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty, when it comes down to the fact of performances, now they're at a place I think where they can build from, and that's credit to Ayo. My fifth and final choice is Red Bull. I know what you're thinking. Peter, what are you talking about? He's just been sacked from Red Bull. But if you think about Red Bull over the last year now, when you actually look at it, did he really do a bad job in comparison to Liam Lawson or to Yuki Tsunoda? Surely Sergio Perez could even be in that Red Bull today and still be producing, if not the same, maybe better results than Red Bull have done this year. And Max Verstappen has proven, as much as that Red Bull car is very difficult to drive, he is able to still squeeze race wins out of them. And who's to say Sergio Perez couldn't do the same? I know his form was a bit off, but look, he's had some time away from Formula One, and maybe that's just the break he needed. And fine, if Red Bull is a disgrace and a crazy suggestion, how about Racing Bulls? How about the sister team? Because let's have it right, Liam Lawson is not cutting it at Racing Bulls, and Hadjar is doing a phenomenal job this season. And the Racing Bulls, to be fair, feels like a steady team as well. And it would make perfect sense for Sergio Perez, maybe at this time of his career, if he's going to downgrade, go to the downgrade of the best team in the grid, especially in recent years. As much as Racing Bull is its own team, they are still very much connected with Red Bull. So Sergio Perez will still be familiar with what's going on with the team. And listen, the results that Hadjar has been pulling out of that Racing Bulls, it shows you exactly what Sergio Perez could potentially do if he joins next season. The problem with 2025 is it's the end of the current regulations, and next year is completely new. It's a lottery, so we have no idea exactly who's going to come out the blocks flying. It's more or less a guessing game, but we have to wait and see. But listen, this is why we predict what we predict. Comment down below on where you think Sergio Perez should be joining Formula One in 2026. Should he even be there in the first place? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you like Formula One content like this, if you like debatable talks, predictions and things of that nature, be sure to subscribe to the channel and smash a like on the video. Now here's a few other teams that I'm not so keen on Sergio Perez joining, just due to the fact there's a lot of stability there. Things are a little bit set in stone, like Aston Martin for example. I feel like they're set for 2026, Adrian Newey at the helm. Fernando Alonso isn't going to go anywhere, at least whilst Newey is in town. But I do think it's the last throw of the dice with Fernando Alonso and Adrian Newey at Aston Martin. I think there'll be a big shake-up if things don't go according to plan in 2026. and maybe Sergio Perez 2027, but it's a stretch. McLaren, Ferrari and Williams, when I look at their driver pairings, it looks set in stone. I mean, let's be serious. Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, phenomenal. Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, phenomenal. And Alex Albon, Carlos Sainz, guys, very, very underrated driver pairing, and they are producing results beyond our belief. Now, maybe Sauber, Audi, who knows what's going on over there? Not because necessarily Bortoleto or Hülkenberg are terrible. They're very good drivers. They're very solid at the moment. And I can't quite work out, is the Sauber this year a lot better than last year because of the driver, or is it because of the car? Who knows? But I think, again, 2026, with the new rebranding of Audi and everything like that, there might be a bit more chaos in that team, and it might seem like a bit of a stretch. And it wouldn't be fair to both Hülkenberg and Bortoleto to not get a shot or a chance in 2026 with Audi. But I would keep an eye on that situation just in case, they just fall off a cliff. But those are the 5 teams that I think should definitely have a considerable look at Sergio Perez in the Formula 1 2026 season. And who knows, Sergio Perez might even enter the 2025 season with drivers getting swapped and getting sacked left, right and center. Let me know if you think Sergio Perez should be in Formula 1 in 2026. And if you're liking this video, YouTube thinks you will like this video over here, or you can click on my latest video right over here. Until next time, lights out.